Take the bottom off.
Alright, so I got, what I'm going to do here is show you how I do a weave style using Baltic birch. This is a plain old sheet of 12 by 12 Baltic birch. So I start out by cutting strips of it, and so I want to get them somewhat the same size. I give a little bit extra here, and I'll sand that off afterwards, just so I don't, when I'm cutting it, don't get it crooked or whatever. So a little waste there, but not too bad. So let's get started on that. 0.7 on that. .71, and the thickness is 0.7. So I need to sand just a tiny bit more, not much, and we'll get her started here. The next thing we're doing here is we're gluing them. Here, you're going to get more squeeze out as we put clamps on. Just keep it clean as you can. Okay, I got all 7 pairs glued up. Alright, now we've got all our 7 pairs glued up. Now we want to glue 2 pairs together with alternating cross grain there, and like that. We'll have to use different clamps, of course, but principle's the same. A little glue on, not too much. Okay, so this is the board all glued up now. Just for the record, I ended up making an 8th pair, and that is glued on here now because I, with only 14 pieces or 7 pairs, it was like 10 inches, and this is 12 inches, so I wanted to get it a little closer to square. So by adding that on, I'm closer to 11.5 inches here, and we'll just cut off a little bit of the waist at the end. So, alright, so I've gotten the board all nice and flat. It turned out after all the sanding, now I lost 2/100 of an inch on thickness. It's 0.68 now, which isn't too bad. What I'm going to have here is 11.25 inches of usable board space for the outside diameter. Mark the center, and so I go through this procedure when I'm designing here. I'll show you what did I do here. Use the board actually, and so I go mark it on the paper, making sure I'm nice and straight, go all the way across. Now I've decided to go with 7 rows, so just cover up the line, making sure I'm straight across the graph paper, make my mark. So I need to do that 7 times. 7. Now, like I said, we 11.25 inches, and then so half of that is 5 5/8. So we need to find a center point here. So I'm just going to make this here the center point. So mark this at the top. So 5 5/8 I said. So measure from the center to 5 5/8. It's about right there, something like that. Now I like to go around 25% of the outer diameter, top outer diameter of the bowl. So 25% of 10 is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go with that 2.5 inches, just roughing it up here instead of 11. So 2.5 inches, half of that is 1.25. Will be a radius here. So now I mark the outside from the top all the way down to the bottom, that'll be your outside wall of the bowl. Now, what I do here is I find the intersection of the outside wall and each ring, and I mark that there. Make mark. Alright. Now I transfer that mark up to the upper one, keeping this straight up and down. So I make a mark there, and then I make a mark on the bottom one I said. I'm using as a reference here basically. Just keeping it straight up and down. Make my mark up and make it up. Now, if I join this line from the top one all the way down to the bottom one, that will be your definition of the bowl in and out. Your wall thickness then is this guy right here. So what I do here, I use a tape straight edge too, but it doesn't really matter here. Just more for sake of, got it. You know where your board, where you're cutting on your board here. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All right, we now have it designed. Now we need to transfer this onto the board, and that's pretty easy. So what I do here is I have a compass and set it from the center of the board to the outer diameter. Yeah. All right. Make my circle. All right. Make the next one. You do this for all 7. All right. Got all circles drawn. You can see that I'm pretty much going from side to side here, using all the wood we can. So that's it for that part. And okay, so the next thing I do here is I drill the holes so I can get the scroll saw blade through the hole, cut these out. So I've gone ahead and made these little guys here, and if I've done it right, it's the same angle as outside wall here. So that's all it is same angle. So now what I do here is I want a hole. I don't need to do the outside. I can do that with either bandsaw or just leave it to square. But I do have to do it for all the others. So what I have to do here is get it started. Just a tiny bit of start. I kind of drill right through the line. So then I put I'm doing this as I'm keeping the drill at the same angle as this little piece of wood here. It's hard to show this on the camera here, but so that's the same angle. So I just go ahead and drill. Keep trying to keep it the same angle the whole way. You know, it's pretty close. One hole. Alright, got all the holes drilled out now. Okay, I'm going to cut the outside diameter with my bandsaw. All right, I got ahead and set the angle of the scroll saw, same angle as that little piece of wood that I was using for drilling the holes. And I use a blade called the Olsen thick wood blade here. So it works pretty good for, because it's a little thicker wood than normally you do on a scroll saw. So I use them, seems to work pretty good. Okay, I got my scroll saw all set up here, blade in there, and I won't bore you with watching me cut this whole thing, but this is how it's done. I like to keep somewhere on the line. You know, we got this big old drill hole in there that took a lot of the, you know, the room up, so it thins up the walls, but usually don't need much wall thickness on these guys. So, all right, so this was the original design. So this is the bottom part that I didn't explain all the way. So A, B, C, D, each one of these corresponds to the B is up here, and you can see how this board everything's nicely fitted. The only loss you're going to have is by when you drill your holes in there and then you cut around the ring. That's going to be waste. But other than that, it's using the whole board here. So then you just take them out, stack them on top of each other. So now I got all the rings cut, and here's all the rings cut. Now I have them all in line right now, but the idea will be to flip it by 180 degrees each one. So when you do that and you have an even number of pieces, that's vital here to make this work. So it needs to be an even amount of patterns here. In our case, we have 16 of these pieces here. We alternate up sideways and up and down for each one. So what we'll do here is dismantle this like so, and then, like I say, for each one now we're gonna alternate. There we go. Now we got our bowl. So zoom out a little bit here. There's our bowl. So I gone ahead and marked the bottom here. So when I start gluing it up, I'll have some reference points here. Each row is 180 degrees out from each one, so I flip them over, and then we'll start gluing. All right, so this first row is kind of a give me here. We'll put a little glue on the bottom of it and swipe it here on the waste block, and then we use that center point that we created when we're doing the design of the bowl, and there we go. I'll clamp a little tighter than that. After I cut the rings out, there are some burrs. I like to get rid of them by doing a little bit of this. Doesn't take much. Get them all cleaned up. So it's important to have this perfect flush. So I always take a tool to it to make sure it's pretty flat. So simple as that right there. I've already gone ahead actually and done it, but you get the idea here. So now it's time to put the second row on. So put a little glue on it. Mix it around here. And I'm going to be using a lathe again to put it on. Get the alignment marks lined up. And make sure it's flush. And I check to make sure it's not too far out of. Looks like it's moving nicely here, not too far off. So I think I got that one lined up. Okay, I got the next row on there, and I've done my checks. Make sure it's somewhat centered here. Looks like it's good there. And this is actually helping right here, center it right now, so can't be too far off that way. Got my marks lined up here, so I'm trying to keep this edge and this edge all aligned, and it looks like I got it there. And I'm looking here, looks like I got it there too, so we'll let it dry. Alright, I got all 7 rows glued on now, so I'll let that dry probably a few hours or overnight, then I'll start lathing it. So I'm going to stop here on this project and just a lot of lathing, and when I'm all done I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, this is what it looks like right before I cut it off. One last chance to look at it before I take the bottom off. Okay, this is the final bowl now. I got a few coats of hand weight bond poly on there now, and you can see that the alignments seem to work out pretty good. It has the weave look to it, and then the bottom of it here, the weave look to it, and that's that.